Well, I'll say that as an archaeologist. So from my own perspective, it's still we see something interesting beginning to happen now in Brazil. Is that people are beginning to realize that against what they learn in school, the idea that the Amazon has never been really densely settled. Archaeology has been showing that there were many people, indigenous people, living in the Amazon, between 8 and 10 million people living in the Amazon, and that the Amazon that we know today, at least partially, is a product of indigenous agency through the millennia. So it's not only it's a very important natural asset for the country, but it also has a cultural history. It's also those landscapes, they show the history of indigenous people who have been living there for around 13,000 years. So I think that's again, it's a slow process, but I see more and more this awareness changing. I'll give you an example. I was talking. My youngest son, he wants to go to university next year. He's doing what we call cursinho in Portuguese, like preparatory classes. And he told me the other day that he was doing like those tests to train for the entrance exam and at the end of this year. And he told me that one of the questions was about the indigenous influence in shaping the Amazon, bringing up the archaeological information towards the formulation of this question. And if you think about the amount of how many teenagers are going to do this exam at the end of the year, like we're talking about millions of people. So it's really interesting, because that's something that really came, it was academic knowledge, but now it's like really, in a way, it's being brought to that other realm of people, for instance, doing the preparatory exams to enter universities. And the effect of that on all those kids, when they read it, they have to study this, and the right answer is to say, listen, the Amazon has been transformed by indigenous people. That a small amount of information can have a very big transformative result. So I think we live in contradictory times in many ways, because there's some, and we see this in this conference here, lots of interesting things happening. It's wonderful. On the other hand, if you look around, we can see terrible things happening also, like, in terms of fire without control, and, climatic crisis as well, climatic emergency. But I think, given, this complex panorama that we see today, I don't think I can say that I'm an optimist, but I think from the perspective of people's awareness, I think there's a change for the better. People who don't live in the Amazon, and even people who live inside the Amazonian cities, they're beginning to learn this different story, which I think is really interesting. I'm a scientist, and I really believe, despite all the evidence that we see in the world today, that if people have good information, they will be able to make better decisions. So yes, I have no illusions. There's a part of the population of the world that they deny the value of science. They don't believe in anything. They believe that the earth is flat. I don't think we're going to change these people's minds, because they're all set. It goes beyond. It's not a rational operation to do this. But there's a group of people, which people call them the swing voters here in the U.S., which are in between. I think these people, they're susceptible to receive maybe good information and change their perspective. So I think we have to aim not to the converted that think as we do, not to the people who are the deniers. They won't accept any kind of scientific evidence, but we have to look after this constituency of people who are swinging between these two poles, and try these people are the key, I think, to receive good scientific information and maybe do something against climatic change. So yes, I think that's part of this effort. As we see here in this meeting, wonderful scientists doing wonderful research, and I like to see my work as part of this effort towards bringing this information to the general public. Yeah.